All right, everyone, good evening. Welcome to the budget planning work session. Today's March 4th, 2025. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Assistant Chief Plant, will you lead us, please?
Oh, would love to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Madam Clerk, will you call roll, please?
Sikora.
Here.
Deanne.
Here.
Terenzi.
Here.
Backus. O'Donnell.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Mayor Calendino.
Here. Everyone's present, and we have a quorum, but we don't need one because we won't be voting on anything tonight. Just for anyone in the public that might be watching on cable or catches it later on YouTube, we're changing things up a little bit for the way we're going to handle budget this year. We're hoping that it will be more effective. We're trying to change the focus on innovative and creative things we can do for the city rather than what we can slash from our department heads' ideas. So tonight, like I said, we won't be voting on anything, but the department heads, council, and any members from the public are welcome to present ideas that they would like to see in the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. We'll take that away. The department heads will work hard to incorporate everything they can. Once we combine all those individual department budgets, we'll look at the overall bottom line and decide what we can do and what we can't. We will have a follow-up meeting several weeks from now to recap and see how effective we've been able to be incorporating the ideas into the budget. And that date will be announced at a later time. So at this point, is there anyone from the public that has any comments? No? All right, then I think we will just run through the list. Every department head, including myself, will be given 15 minutes. Madam Clerk will be timing. Right, Madam Clerk? And I get to kick it off. So this is not going to be the typical line by line, like if anyone that's witnessed the sausage being made in past budget years, it was brutal, ineffective, and not very productive. So what we used to do is go through every department's budget line by line. How come this went up $20? How come this one did the? We really don't need to do that as a group. We can do that individually. So tonight, that's not the goal of what we're doing tonight. Tonight, we're just going to present ideas that are not status quo, things that the department heads, public, council would like to see the city move towards in the next fiscal year. And like I said, the department heads will take all that information away, incorporate what they can into their individual budgets, and we'll see where we end up. So we're not going to be going line by line. That's why nobody has a printed out budget like I think we're all accustomed to having at these meetings. This is more just to take notes, present creative ideas you might have to the department heads, and see where that leads us. So my budget's easy. Mine is completely status quo. There's no changes. In fact, it's a little bit reduced because we bought my big creative, innovative idea last year, the podium thing and this, so I don't really have any expenses projected that are outside of the norm. So I can give my time to, who's next? Chief Wilsack.
Okay, for us, all that equipment that we've got on the grants, all of our warranties are expiring on structures, or defibrillators. What else do we have? Lucas, the devices for automatic CPR. And I want to enter into service contracts because batteries for those are ungodly. I think it's like $700 for a battery, and maybe, I don't have any firm figures yet, like $1,200 for a service contract, which covers everything. So I'm looking at about $6,000 to cover all those that we haven't had in our budget before because it was covered under our FEMA grant. We included all the warranties for that. And the next item that is different is we went for a $75,000 Assistance to Firefighters grant. Our match is $3,750. You guys approved us to go ahead and apply for it, so we did apply for it. Hopefully we get that.
What is that grant, chief?
That's for a supply hose, 4-inch supply hose. This will complete a whole changeover in the fire department. All our hoses new, all of our other stuff came in. Randy had the fortunate pleasure of being there when that came in.
Do all the other mutual aid partners do the 4-inch also?
Yeah, yeah, everybody's getting away from 5-inch.
And what is the city match on that, chief?
$37.50. And I think the other one was, our apparatus floor is cracking horribly towards the front of the bays on the north side of our building where our ambulances are parked. And Randy witnessed it vibrating and moving when the trucks were pulling in and out of that, so we have to get that evaluated for, I have no figures on that one.
So this is the floor in the building?
Yeah, inside the building, the
Concrete floor.
floors going back to the drains.
How old is that?
That building?
Yeah, it's been there a long time. Like
That's the original building,
The
I
new
think.
part's 25 years old.
That's
That's in
what I
the old part.
It's probably in the historic district. And then I'm gonna let Randy,
That could be the floor, that could be something we get a grant for, I would guess, right?
well, I don't know. I think they quit handing out, building,
We just got a grant mistakenly for Westland today.
Accepted.
Chief and I did, and they got $3.5 million for redoing their fire station.
oh, did they?
Wow.
Yeah,
Was that from FEMA or from the state?
it was state,
Okay, 'cause yeah, I don't, FEMA.
no match,
FEMA quit doing it.
$3.5 million, no match.
Wow.
So maybe let's reevaluate, we have till March 17th for our grant. Well, those are the Fed grants.
Yeah,
I think we could look at that for maybe a state enhancement grant.
okay.
We'll need some prices though, to be able to do that.
Is that within the Bucks wheelhouse, someone like that, local, or do you see something, is it a bigger job?
No, I think the Bucks could do it. I mean, I had it evaluated by the building authority one time. And I think it was, I want to say it was around $40,000, but concrete's been stupid
You're
lately.
probably pouring
so
6 inches in there minimum, right?
I think it's 8 inches,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, inside my building, it's 8,
yeah,
and you got heavier trucks than I pull in.
yeah.
So when it comes, when we're making selections for grants, we're looking at stuff that, really where the rubber hits the road, pun intended. But it's not where the rubber hits the road. We're looking at things that keep firefighters safe.
Could you go to the,
Yeah, I'll go to the podium, it's fine. Just commentary on that. When we're asked Mayor by you to prioritize grants, we're looking at things that, we could probably seek a grant and get the floor repaired. It's a little lower on our priority list than things that keep firefighters safe or make us more effective or keep the, you know what I'm saying? So you've seen, obviously you've seen apparatus, ambulances. You'll probably be seeing something for turnout gear in one of these cycles, et cetera. So yeah, it's very appropriate for a grant. Just why it hasn't fallen there so far, I want to give you a basic explanation.
perfect.
Might as well stay up there and explain to them.
Sure, so then the next item that the chief's going to talk about is,
Talk about it. You're more versed in it than I am.
there's been a recent law that was passed. It's the Employee Accrued Sick Time Act. I'm probably botching the acronym. ASTA, okay? Requires all employers that meet certain criteria, which our fire department does, to provide earned paid sick time for their employees. It's not optional. We have to comply. I've worked with city clerk and a bit with Phil on it, along with the city attorney. We have to do it. It's already in effect. As such, we have to assess a cost to that. It's a new benefit the employees get, so now we have to figure out with the upcoming budget year, how much is it going to cost? It's very unique and limited, and I'll be happy to discuss that on a detailed level if you want to, maybe not here, but we're a paid-on-call fire department, so it only applies to certain portions of their job, okay? So, did some estimations, got some guidance from Phil. The dollar amount we're asking for we're comfortable it's going to cover it, and probably more than cover it, it's $17,000, okay? My gut feeling is we won't spend half that, but we want to budget for what I think is worst case. And then after our first year of exposure to that, we'll have a better feel for what the actual usage of that benefit is in budget plans forward. But our recommendation is $17,000 in a new line item, and we'll adjust it from there going forward. Any questions on that item? Thank you.
That's all we have.
All right, just about half the time. Good job. Chief Klusny.
I have a minute to settle.
Click go.
Do that to me.
That's the budget item?
What's that?
The boat, that's what you're budgeting for? Clinton River?
It'll probably cost you $17,000. By next year, they will have acquired way more time to use, and I think it will cost you more.
That was, those calculations were based on 30 employees all having 72 hours. And we're, okay, which is the max we have to pay per employee. And then I estimated 25% realistic usage. Not everyone's gonna use everything. So that's 25% of worst case scenario. So that's.
Ready?
All right, I'm ready. All right, I promise to make this under 15 minutes. I just wanted to kind of just preamble and just give you a little snapshot kind of where we at in 2024, 2025. And I always start with our mission statement because this is really what the police department's about, right? Our mission is dedicating and giving those services to the residents, right? And we do this by providing excellent public service and law enforcement to the community with the goal of keeping Utica a safe place to live, work, and play. We do this by providing service utilizing the best practices in law enforcement, continuous improvement in leadership, professionalism, and partnership with the community. It'll really come into play here at the end here. Snapshot of where we're at kind of in 2024, accomplishments, our organizational chart that's kind of taken some hits, future planning, and then we'll get right into the budget stuff here. So for the year, we've hired 2 new police officers. We had 1 new dispatcher, and that new dispatcher is creating our new records position. And it's still kind of a work in progress. One of the things I'm proud of is the grant that the mayor was able to get from Senator Peters, and that was able to fund Axon body cams and new in-car system, and that funded that program for 5 years. So we don't have to put a penny into it. It's funded, it's insured, and we'll get replacement stuff from there. So it's really been a great asset there. In our flat cameras, we've already, in the implementation of having our flat cameras, had 2 instances, 2 crimes for service that we've been able to identify vehicles that we would have never had if we didn't have these cameras. So we've really had them in place about a month and a half, and it's already paying dividends having those cameras out there. Weaknesses that we're looking at really is our supervision and then our 2 open positions. We do have 2 open positions there. So our current organizational chart that we're looking at right now, it's me, a daytime sergeant. We have an open position for a sergeant. And so we're really kind of hurting on the top end. And a lot of that is just because I don't have the age of people to put in those positions. Come May of 2025, I'll be promoting another sergeant, kind of take over that nighttime sergeant and get us back to kind of the levels that we're at here. If I'm looking out at the future, and this is where I want to get at for future sense, this is kind of where we're at right here. Trying to speed through to hit my time here. Accreditation, this is where I really want to get to end of this budget, starting of the next budget year. And what accreditation is setting standards that law enforcement has. So we're kind of on an island right now. We're trying to align ourselves with what is best practices, and accreditation is the way to do it. Right now, 89 agencies in Michigan are accredited through the MACP. Another 39 are in the process. So it is the new way to just show we are a professional organization and we're doing things to standard. All right, into the budget stuff. 2 things that I'm looking at right here is upgrading our radars and our printers. So our current radars, we upgraded 2 of them this budget year with funds that we had. So I'm looking at finishing out the fleet with 3 brand new radios and then our in-car printers. So these printers right here are used for our e-citations. When officers write a citation, it prints it out. When they have traffic accidents, stuff right there. Our current radar units, the ones we have left, were purchased in 2014. The in-car printers that we have were purchased in 2009. So we've gone, 15, 16 years out of those printers with zero hiccup. So it's $16,000, purchases the equipment, installs them. Next thing that I'm really looking at here is a municipal parking lot. This is gonna benefit not only police department, city employees. It's gonna have a secured access control, it's gonna be fence gated, and it's gonna add parking to downtown visitors, because that's the one thing, anybody comes down here on a Friday night, Saturday night, ball games, stuff at Mr. Miguel's, there's no parking available down there. 108 foot by 70, it's gonna add 24 additional parking spots. We're gonna be able to kind of throw some of our police assets in there. Looking at about 105,000 to 150,000. So this is the proposed location for the parking lot right here. And you'll see up here currently, this is where police officers will park their personal vehicles. And what that's doing is taking away from the public parking for the rest of the residents and stuff. So we're gonna move everything down to this location here, gated, secured, monitored, access controlled for all the vehicles. This is a rough drawing that one of my vendors drew up. This area right here is dedicated for a carport. This is where our in-service patrol vehicles are gonna kind of hang out there. And that's gonna protect them from the elements, from sunshine, rain, snow, all of that. So when they're not in use, they're in a nice secure area protected from the elements. So this is kind of a look at what we're looking at as far as the carport here. Real quick, I'm just gonna hand this, just give you kind of an idea. And this is just one quote right now. I have another one for concrete I'm getting. And this is for an asphalt parking lot, but if you look at the numbers on the quote, it actually seems pretty reasonable for what they're looking at doing.
And Chief, this is just for use for the PD, correct?
PD and City Hall. So any city employee.
Okay.
Got a question. Is 7560, is that the square feet?
Yes, no, 108 by 70.
Yes.
So 70 feet. What's that?
That was 7,560.
Oh, yes,
square
I'm
feet.
sorry,
Yep.
yes, thank you.
Is that gonna, is there any drainage or any curbing that has to be done with that also?
So what they're looking at, based on the way the pitch is, I'm probably using these wrong words here, the drainage and stuff will be able to roll down into thank you. No.
Manhole drain,
No,
no self-contained.
What's under that? Is that probably trash?
like underneath
Under the
the,
lot, yeah. Do we know?
just based on what's underneath everything else in here, yes.
Fair enough, yeah.
Well, you can tell them they dug how deep for the tower and they didn't find any trash, so that's good, that's something.
Yeah, that's true, yeah, so right about here, I mean, they're, 8-10 feet down and didn't hit anything, so. Any other questions? I know I kinda went fast, I wanted to make it in my time slot, but be able to kinda answer any question. I mean, this is really the biggest thing. The equipment, I'm pretty confident that they'll fall in it's a needed thing, I think they'll go, but this is kind of the real big ticket item.
Chief, I have a question. So
Yeah.
the purpose is to get the patrol cars and the city employee vehicles off the main parking area to allow for other patrons to park in our lot, correct? Push everyone back in that lot?
Yeah, kind of a two-prong, yes. We're moving all police, city personnel over here. It's a nice secured lot,
Yeah.
and then it's opening up parking
Yeah.
for everybody else,
Yeah,
for
so-
the public.
So just an idea, Mr. Mayor, what if we were to gate entry, like other municipalities do, to the common lot and charge a fee to park in the downtown lot here, maybe offset some of the cost for eventually recoup some of those funds, make it paid parking in the current city parking lot?
You talking about
$2 an hour
gating
parking or,
this lot?
yeah, put a
Like
control arm in
the-
there, that you swipe in, it lets you in, and then you can pay to park. Is that are we at that point, or does it seem a little crazy to try to recoup some of those funds to offset the municipal lot?
I don't think we're at that point.
Yeah, just
I
an
know several years ago, we looked at doing paid parking downtown.
Yeah.
2 hour,
And they're dual purpose, one income, but also it'd stop your Jimmy John's people from camping here during a 4-hour game. And then they're citable if they're in there for past that point. So again, then you gotta work on someone to cite them. It's a conundrum, but it's just food for thought, just to throw it out there. While
we could
got-
look at it. I mean, there's gonna be some costs to add, the equipment to be able to do that, the swing gates,
Yep, the reader,
the reader,
yep,
however you're
sure,
gonna charge.
But we have, how many parking spaces are in there? Do you know, chief?
In,
In the current municipal structure?
in the court,
Yeah,
I
there it is.
didn't count that offhand.
75-ish?
I don't think that many.
Probably looks like maybe 40, 30.
Yeah.
And that can actually, I
gonna
bet
say
you be
between 40 and 50.
resized and repainted, because there's room in there for
Yeah.
more spots.
I was gonna say
I
that.
don't think that's,
A very
I don't think this is a
efficient-
particularly efficient structure. I never have, really.
Yeah.
I agree.
Power wash those lines off, and I think we could do
it would be
better.
something that probably Jerry could do.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, Katie
and
can
figure
do.
out the square footage and then how many spots can go in that area.
Yeah, there's
They
a
have
lot
all
of
that. They
voids
have
in
all
there.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
So that was just food for thought type thing, if, because I know this project here, we're looking at $102,000. And if there's some way to offset that, to say, yeah, it's doable, because now we can have some income. I mean, I think that patrons would pay $2 an hour parking there, or $2 to whatever,
Right.
something.
And the restaurants might end up liking the idea because
Shuffles them
we're
along.
gonna get less baseball.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'm sitting in my car when baseball's getting ready to start, catching my evening cigar. And you could tell when baseball's starting. It's like cars are just going around in circles waiting for an open spot. And when they get out, they're not walking towards the bars and restaurants downtown. They're walking the opposite direction to go to the baseball game. So yeah, I think it's a good concept. I think we want to talk to the restaurants and the bars, see what their feeling is on it.
it's worth having the conversation.
And I think we'd have to evaluate what the cost would be to set something up that we could, because we've got both ends, right? We've got the service drive that goes
Yeah.
up behind the bars too.
Yeah.
But yeah, good idea. Something to look at.
I mean, there's,
Got about 80 spots.
I was just gonna say, down in Grosse Pointe over where, what's the one market? Got the structure behind it, the food market.
Yeah, like Trader Joe's?
Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
And the businesses that you want to use it, the Trader Joe's, the markets, they will validate your parking, okay?
Yeah, good
So
call.
you could do the same thing, only certain business, if
Yeah.
if we're trying to, at night, say, give the place for the restaurants, because that's who's getting killed, okay? I stay away from it because I would go there, but, fight. Fight with them, but you validate it, so that person's ticket, they're not paying anything.
Yeah. As
But
well-
if you're there for that game, they're gonna pay for it.
As well, a lot of our business owners and their employees park in front of, on Auburn in front of their businesses, which is, if I was a business owner, I'd be like, go find a spot. This is for transient, this is for customers coming in and out. So,
But at that point, if it's baseball season, you might as well let them park there, because if not, somebody's gonna sit there for 4 hours that went to the game.
yeah.
So,
What do we do about residents that are coming for city services?
you can validate it, the same thing.
Yeah, you
City-
can.
Yeah, or they can simply park right in front too. 15-minute parking in front of City Hall, Monday through Friday until 5 PM.
Might want it longer.
Whatever,
but-
something like that.
I mean, the problem becomes more with baseball crowd, 6:30. So,
And I'm gonna say that this is just my 1 of 7. I like where that's going, but we probably have about 3 years left on that lot before it really needs to be redone. If you look at it, it's
Oh, yeah.
spidering and
Yeah,
falling
yeah.
apart.
Sure.
So that might be something we look at when we redo the lot entirely.
Yeah.
So I am getting a quote on concrete, the quote that you have is on asphalt. Just looking at the numbers of asphalt versus concrete, because the guy gave me the number on concrete, it was about $30,000 more. Now, I don't know where he's gonna come in with the other stuff, because I told him to kind of get everything, and unfortunately, he didn't get to me by today. He's still waiting on one, but at least from the concrete numbers, it's about 30,000 more, so you gotta look at, okay, if you do concrete, how much more, how long will that lot sit there versus asphalt?
Good stuff.
good idea.
Good ideas all around, chief. Chief, you got concrete behind the fire department, right? That's all concrete back there, isn't it?
No.
Is asphalt behind? Okay,
There's a short approach to the bay doors, it's concrete everything.
okay.
Is that it, Chief?
That's all I got, yep. Made it within my
Look
15
at,
minutes.
even with the questions, right? Good job. Superintendent Diamond. Did anybody have questions for Chief before we move on? Everybody's good?
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. First of all, I will thank you for my last budget, as it being my first budget here. I appreciate the help that everybody gave me and the needed items that we did get through all that. So definitely help to the department, the crew definitely appreciate it. They know that they've been not given things in the past, so it was a nice year and they appreciate it. So I do have a list, quite a bit of things that looking forward to discussing with you. One of the first major ones is in the water, we're gonna start with the water department, is our pressure relief valve replacement, which is in our meter pit on Auburn Road. Our current ones that are in there, we have we have one, then we have a backup, and they'll swap use depending on how much water is coming through. They are 39 years old. And they are BURMAD, and they usually have a lifespan of 20 years. So we've been doing pretty good, knock on wood. The only issue is that there are no rebuild parts for these PRVs. So if we did have an emergency, we're gonna be looking at a huge bill to make those repairs. So I did reach out to BURMAD, who is the original, which is down there, and they are looking at roughly about $30,000 to replace both PRVs with installation. And that's depending on, and that's kind of high, I went on the high end, and that's depending on the size required, because the PRVs that they make now are much more efficient. So we have two 8-inch PRVs down there. They believe with what's coming in and what we need to disperse, that even a 4-inch PRV could handle it. Obviously, that will get into when we really delve into this. The quote here is for replacing an 8-inch for an 8-inch. As they get smaller, they get less expensive. So that is a huge thing that I think, 39 years is a good run. I do not want to see something happen, get that call in the middle of the night from dispatch that we have an issue with that. Knock on wood, everything's been good. They have not been maintained in a while because there's really, honestly, nobody put any effort into maintaining them, and we are not certified, anyone in our department. I think there's a couple things that ex-superintendent Lang did and Ricky Smith did what they could. I did have someone down, actually the guy who installed it, he actually at 70 years old went down in the pit and did some maintenance on it, and he's the one that said that, if we ever have an issue, there's no parts for these. So that is a big thing that we were looking for. And then next thing is something that got tabled from last year's budget was a 16-ton engine hoist. Excuse me, and that would be split between the street department. That luckily the price for that has not changed, maybe $1,000 more this year than last year. I was asked by council who showed up last year that to table it. It's roughly $30,000. That'll be a split between the street department, so $15,000 each. It would be safer for our mechanics. It helps in all service repairs. Could be used if police needed something, some of the smaller vehicles that fire has, but it will limit outsourcing some of the repairs that our guys can do if we had the proper tools for it. So that's.
What do we have now?
We don't have anything right now. There's no hoist. So this one, that would be include installation, and we put in one of our bays where we can drive under it and it'll lift it up and we can do any repairs from underneath. So right now we just use jacks just like anybody else, just you would use at your house. And obviously we have some heavier equipment. Another thing that is on our wish list is replacing our 1999 Ford F-350 box style service truck for water. The number is 3W19. Looking to possibly finance that for 5 years at a top price on them right now is $75,000. I don't think it would be that much. Luckily, the chief gave me some information from who we got the police cars from, and they were a little bit less expensive. But that vehicle is used for hydrant replaces. It does have a mounted winch that can be moved over to the service truck, so we wouldn't have to buy a new winch for it. Helps lifting it up. Everything that's needed for those are kept on that. That was actually Ricky's truck that he drove all the time. So if you saw it, it was a box truck. I'd be looking for not a box truck, but a service truck like you purchased back in 2022 that has the side compartments, easier to get to. It still has the bed, and the winch can go in there. So like I said, $75,000 would be a top pay on a top cost on that one. But I would be looking to finance that, so it would kind of help throughout the next 5 years. Vector replacement parts. Unfortunately, we need some fold-down pipe racks and hardware for it. Currently, if we need the Vector, we need to take 2 additional pickup trucks with us to put the tubing in it. The Vector that we bought from Ferndale only has one of those as well, so we were hoping to rob parts from that one to make ours, but it's the same issues that they rust. So these would be refurbished parts that they have. So I wouldn't want to put brand new stuff on an old machine, but they do have parts, and ours have been rusted and broke. And like I said, that would be $5,000. Looking to add a tracer box to our push camera system. That's roughly about $2,500. This allows us to easily locate our underground service line where the brakes are. We can bring a camera down, but it'll pinpoint exactly the depth of it. The camera we have now will get you how far we're going, but it doesn't have a depth locator. This will help with being able to pinpoint our brakes pretty well. Usually we're pretty good, but again, it's a wish list. It definitely would help out.
How much is that, Bill?
$2,500 that would be, and that would go under an equipment purchase. The mayor and I have discussed about water replacement upgrades. We are looking and working with HRC. We don't have total prices on this, but we have pinpointed certain ones that need. Deshawn to replace an 8-inch line, 2,000 foot in length with 21 service line replacements. That water main is from 1950. Hahn from Deshawn to Van Dyke is from 1952. That's also an 8-inch line, only 400 length, doesn't have any service lines. Canal is 1952. We're looking to replace that from an 8-inch to a 12-inch line, and that is 1,200 feet in length. That has 14 service line replacements on that one. And McKay Court is 1952 as well. That one would be replace an 8-inch line, has 1,200 feet length with 2 service line replacements. And when I'm saying replacement, those are the ones that are either lead or galvanized. There are obviously more on those streets, but those are all known copper. McKay has had multiple breaks since I've been there, so it's been patched up. And then Kemp is the other one, which is a 12-inch line, runs from Hall Road to Canal, and that's 1,270 feet in length. That has 12 service line replacements, and it's from 1961. The service line replacement and engineering cost for the service line issues that would be covered under our TMF grant. So some of that money would be able to be recouped, which is good news. But the other line is either we can go for grant or look about funding that through our general fund or, so once we get more numbers and talk about it more, we probably won't have it for budget approval day, but I wanted to get that on the radar. That would definitely help our water, especially over in that area where I know folks feel like they're forgotten. And because it's a lot of patchwork line right now, it's something that we should really look into. Looking for seasonal employees again for all 3 departments. The water department I only have at 2,500. Last year I had it at 4,500. They did paint all the hydrants last year, so I just want to make sure that there is some money there if I had seasonal employees to do something in water department. The parks and street department would be a little bit more. Another thing that, on the radar, obviously, it's another big expense, is our tow-behind air compressor. It is 1988, and it has been repaired and duct taped and zip tied. It works. I mean, we make sure we get it running every time we need it, but it's used to blow out our curb boxes for repairs and our replacements. We winterize all our comfort station with it and sprinkler systems. The one that I've seen that would replace what we have is around $30,000. I'm not sure if we need that size. I just wanted to get a comparable so you know kind of the price on it. And
Mr. Damaster, how much are they to rent?
how much are they to rent? I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
All right.
To rent if we need it. Problem is we need those on a lot of emergency basis, so, pull up and
You
go.
might need it at midnight and
Yeah.
someone's closed.
Right.
Okay.
So, and then the last thing, which also would be, last thing on the water department, that would be split with the street department, is something that I spoke to the mayor about and feel really confident it's something that we need, is a storage structure for our equipment. We have been cleaning the department out, the yard and the garage, but moving things around to be able to do things there are very difficult. Looking at replacing the shipping containers that we have back there right now for storage, and then getting 2 new ones and adding a canopy to it with roll-up doors on either side. So we would be getting rid of the dilapidated containers that are back there right now, and then adding this canopy to 2 brand new ones so we can use the shipping containers as is. One of them we use for all our street signs, they're hung up on there, and some of our larger water main parts. The other one we use for all our Christmas decorations and some of our road safety. So just being able to move our tow behinds from the lean-to and the shop to put in there, and we know that they're there and they're good, well, it'll definitely have more room for the vehicles that we have parked out back, and for repair. Again, that is roughly around $60,000 for that, and that is on the high end, and that would include a cement slab. So that would be something to split with the street department. That was it for water, if you have any questions.
Question, when you talk about canopy, what do you mean by,
So it would be kind of like how our salt dome
Yeah.
is. So what it goes from one end to the other, and then they have doors that roll up and actually have a side door in the tenting itself. A lot of DPWs use those because they're movable. You can move them whenever you need them, especially if you're on all concrete. So I'm not very good at PowerPoint like the chief is. I could have brought a picture for you. But it's, think of a shipping container, a 40-foot shipping container, one on each side, and then a dome that would go over it 30, 40 feet, however, the one I have priced is 30 feet in width. And then it would be enclosed on one end and enclosed on the other. And you can add light to it, you can add heat to it, if you need to. And you would just run it off, come off the building.
so you would actually cover the containers with it also? Or
Yes.
put it in between?
It would cover the entire container, so then you can use shelving on top. You can actually store stuff on top of the containers as well. So we were thinking about putting all our plows during the winter on top of the containers, and then you have the use of inside the containers as well.
Thank you.
I hope I got 15 minutes for each department, did I? Okay, thank you. Sorry. That's it.
Wait,
for-
is that how we did this? Oh, okay.
She did ask me.
I have to rethink that.
All right. I'll steal some of your time. All right, next, I think, was street department? Streets, okay. The mayor and I discussed about street construction. It's been a while since we put any money really into the reconstruction. So we were looking about putting $200,000 in, looking at our past Pazer study to see what are the recommended streets to be resurfaced or repaired. Has some crosswalk repair that needs to be done on Van Dyke, especially at Hahn, the 4 sections. Those brick pavers are horrible. We remove those and just put patch in there to save them, and it's an eyesore. And how much it's used with the school kids it's not very safe. So that was discussed on putting about $200,000 into street construction. Street maintenance, looking at about $15,000. We've had $10,000 that have moved from 2 years in a row, I believe, for crack sealing. I've just been unable to find anybody that wants to do such a small job of Van Dyke. So my thoughts are either we can use that money to add Utica, because Utica Road does need it. We can add the parking lots, or we can think about just renting the equipment and doing it ourselves. Something I can look into, what that would cost. They're pretty expensive to purchase. I looked into it, thought maybe we could do something like $150,000 for one that would need to do main roads like that. But renting might be a possibility, especially the fact that we do need that done. So I'm open to suggestions on that. I just wanted to put it that way, and I believe that our guys can do it. One of our guys did do that in the past before he was with the DPW, so that does help. The 16-ton hoist, same thing. It would be split with in the water fund, so it would be $15,000 each. That was the one that was tabled from the year before. The storage structure I just spoke about. On our frontline plow 4S16, which is our 2016 Ram 5500, it is in need of new tires and a new plow. That would be about $8,000, $5,000 for the plow and $3,000 for the tire. And these are obviously quotes right now. July might change a little. The plow, after they has some tariffs. The plow, the plows do get used a lot, and hitting the curbs on uneven streets, not the curbs, but uneven streets, and just the mechanics in it. They have been repaired. Lines have been repaired all the time. But my mechanic, Brandon, says this is something that we need to make sure that we look to have, because not having that would definitely put us in some jeopardy, being that that is our main frontline equipment. Another thing that the mayor and I discussed about was adjusting the lighting on Auburn Bridge over, that needs to be ADA compliant. The two lights on either side of the bridge are right in the middle of the sidewalks.
Yeah.
So we discussed doing that. We discussed talking to Jimmy John's if they were willing to help. I also am in talks with DTE that you'll find out more about at the council meeting. They're going to be doing assessment of all our lighting, and I did make sure that I starred that area for them to make sure, and I will meet them out there as well, if that's something that they might be able to handle as well. Don't have prices on that. It's a tough one to judge on that, but it's definitely something I think we need to do. Jimmy John's might be willing to help out with that, but
That cheap bastard.
Yeah, right.
you never know.
Camera's running.
Yeah, whoops. Well,
You never know.
you know how I feel.
I did talk to Dana over there, Bill, and I said, since you're gonna be breaking ground, you're gonna have construction crews building your headquarters, maybe there's a way for us to combine this. It shouldn't be a huge project, if they have a whole crew over there doing
Right.
construction work, and she was receptive to that
Okay.
idea.
I mean, it would only help their employees too, because they have to walk from there, and I think it's a great idea. It was something that I noticed when I first got hired here, and I was surprised that it wasn't something that was brought up before then. Next item is seasonal employees again. I'm looking to do 7,500 put aside for seasonal employees, and they will be used as needed in the department. With our flowers coming, I plan on having them water Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, as those new saver pots are only needed. And then finish up the bollard painting that they did last year. And they also painted storm drains for us that brought us to our MS4 permit compliance. They were great, the three girls that we had. We only had two of them work a day, 2 of them work per day. When one of them couldn't, the other one filled in. But they did a great job on our hydrants and our bollards, and I'd like to continue with that. And then for the equipment requests, last year I requested $18,500 for new equipments, and I appreciate we used pretty much all of that on the things that were purchased and are using them. I just picked up the MIG welder that I sent the mayor. I'm not sure if he passed over to you. it's a beautiful machine. The guys are happy to use that. We use that for a lot of things, fabrications. But I do have $18,200 worth of new equipment requests. We need new channelizer cones and barrels. About $2,000 should be able to cover that. The ones that we have are pretty beat up. A lot of them are, I think, are borrowed from other contractors that have just left them for us. But that's something that we are in need of. A 24-inch bucket for the John Deere backhoe. The one that we have obviously works. It was standard with the purchase, but a smaller one does help in smaller locations. And we do use that more for the water mains, but it was purchased out of the street department. So I am looking to add that 24-inch bucket as well, and that's $3,000. For the new welder, I didn't think about budgeting for that for this part as well, but a spool gun, that way it can be, the welder can be left in place and we can move it. It comes with a 200-foot cord, that's $700. A new plasma cutter to replace the one that we have, I think is from 1986. That's $2,000. An airless paint gun. We've been doing a lot of the planters and the planter arms and the banner arms. We spray those. Brian just painted all our carolers that are out front of City Hall by hand. Spray gun would help with that. We do a lot of spray painting. Obviously, we clear coat and rust paint all our plows every year. So the rust, obviously with all the salt and the snow. And that is just $250. And then the last thing on the equipment list is a new trailer. The trailers that we have are nearly 25 years old, and I'm looking to possibly purchase a 14-foot dump trailer. It would kind of help us in all facets. It would streamline for all three departments, but most of our trailers are out of the street department. That's why I put it in that one. And a 14-foot dump trailer runs about $10,000 right now. So with those 7 items, that's $18,200.
Which items, where did that start?
It started at the orange barrels
Okay.
and then went down to the dump trailer. So it's 6 items. The barrels, the 24-inch bucket, the spool gun, the plasma cutter, the paint gun, and then the dump trailer. And right now, we're just buying, spray cans to spray everything. So obviously with the spray gun, easier to put in a 5-gallon bucket and go to town with it. All right, my last one, I could probably get it in this one, is for the parks. We need some park upgrades. Each park needs a little bit of love. Grant Park, we need to remove the border and replace it on the main. What is the front one, Lori? I can't even remember. That's Beck Pavilion. So the border on there is all chipped up part. It's not very safe. And then
The border? What are you talking about?
there's a wood border that holds the mulch in all the way around the playscape. And then we need to replace not replace, but we need to add the ADA compliant mulch, which is like triple shredded, so it's safe. So we're looking at about $5,000 to do that. Obviously, that is something that we would handle all ourselves. Pioneer Park, the guys actually brought this one up in. They were thinking about adding a sprinkler system to Pioneer Park. We have the water out there. It was put out there for a sprinkler system when the comfort station was put in, but never was completed. It definitely would make the grass there, it's kind of weedy. It's not the funnest looking thing, but we could really make it look nice, fertilizing it, pet safe fertilizer and those sprinkler lines, and that's something that we can do. Probably about $5,000 in parts, I'm thinking, to be able to get that done.
How much in water?
No. Water would be up there, so that's something that we would definitely have to think about as well. And a new area maintenance meter would have to be installed. But we are adding water to the pavilion park as well. That's already set up for that, so that we can clean out the pavilions. Heritage Park is the big one. It's something I'm trying to look for a grant as well. We need to remove and replace the current playscapes that are there. They've been there from what Shannon told me since she was 6 when her dad used to take her. And I won't say her age, but it's been a while, so I'm sure you know. But we need to get an, ADA compliant, some sort of structure there. It is used, and we need something that would be able to handle the water when it floods as well. I'm trying to look for grants, and if we could get a good grant, I would like to upgrade that comfort station as well, if possible. That's something that, that comfort station works, but to make it more aesthetic would be something nice. But a new playscape, I'm looking at maybe $200,000 would probably get a nice playscape in there, and that would be with the, I think we have sand over there because it's easier because of the, when the water rises. Seasonal employees, 7,500. Same thing as needed in the park department. Cleanup, I did bring them in during their spring break, and they did the bike paths and all the poop dispensers, the dog stations, and it helped with our guys in the morning because that does take a good hour and a half, sometimes even longer. So it helps them free them up for other things. So $7,500 for that. And then the last thing is I am looking to replace another vehicle, which is our 2000 Ford F-250 Super Duty 4x4 with a plow. I'm also looking to finance that as well for about $15,000 for the next 5 years. If we get the max price at $7,500. That truck is used for our parks cleanup, our sprinkler repair, shrubs, lawn equipment, holiday lighting, and obviously we use it as a plow. That one is usually used for the parking lots because would be our smallest plow.
You said $7,500, you mean
$75,000,
$75,000?
yes. And honestly, I'm not even worried, if we find a good used one, I'm fine with that. I just figured I'd put the top money.
How many plows do we have now, including?
We have the 3 big ones that are used for the major roads, and then we have 3, including that one that we use for the parking lots, North Point turnaround, stuff like that. So 6 total. 3 for the majors, and then 2 that do the lots and the finer things that need the big ones won't be able to handle getting the spots. FD parking lot, Brownell lot, City Hall lot, our lot. So that's it. If you have any questions for me, thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Diamond? That's it.
Thank you for your time.
Phil, do you want to pop in?
Not much happens in the Treasury Department.
Something
That
big's
isn't-
going to happen soon.
That isn't status quo. Sometime in the not too distant future, some guy with a receding hairline will be checking out.
Not me. That's all of us.
Me too.
Be more specific.
Okay, so the mayor and I have been talking originally, we were looking at possibility of me staying here till the end of his current term. Got to thinking that it's probably not in the best interest for the city if both of us were leaving at the same time. And so we're having conversations about when I retire. I've been here 33 years, not quite as long as Ken. I thought he was going to stay longer than me, but, I mean, stay
I
beyond
got more
my
years on you,
retirement.
so.
But anyway, that's one thing that's on the horizon. Mayor and I have been talking about hiring somebody before I leave, so I have some time to train and bring the person up to speed. Given the demands of the type of demands of the job as finance director, I think we need somebody, if not with a CPA license, at least with the in-depth accounting experience in municipal accounting. I mean, I've done 30 years of learning on the job. Accounting standards have increased significantly since I hired in '92. So that, we're still trying to work that one out. So if I decide that it's going to be even if I go beyond the end of the fiscal year 2026, it would possibly be hiring somebody in the second half of 2026. So that the person gets experienced with the budgeting and understands what's involved in the annual audit and the tax collection. Tax collection's not that difficult. Settlement can be a little hairy at times. So that's where I'm at. The other thing that's on the horizon, though I don't know how far out, is the BS&A accounting suite. We're using an accounting system that we first started using back in 2010. It's been a few iterations since then, but it's housed on our server here. BS&A is moving towards a cloud-based system. I'm not satisfied with the cloud-based system because I know how often the internet's not reliable. Can't imagine trying to run the city with the internet down. So we're probably going to have to start looking at our options. And BS&A's cloud system is over $50,000 to acquire, and that's just a license to use it. So those are the only things that I have to talk about.
Any questions for Phil?
Is there any other, I mean, every city uses BS&A, it seems like. Is there any other competitors?
So there are other competitors. Everyone in Macomb County uses BS&A for tax and assessing because they are pretty much required to by the county. But not everyone uses BS&A's accounting suite.
They do everything from purchase orders to payrolls. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff in there. Are we using it like that at all, or no?
We use accounts payable, accounts receivable, cash receipts, general ledger, payroll, utility billing, building department,
Everything.
and we just added their fixed asset module. So, yeah,
It's a big turnover.
we're completely BS&A.
Do they have us in a spot where we can't
No,
get out?
no. The only from tax and assessing, I don't think there's a way out of BS&A because the county requires that we submit our stuff in BS&A format. It's possible that some of the larger cities have somebody else, some other company that they're using and some sort of interface conversion that they use. I know there are other companies out there. In fact, I think one of Lori's Sons works for one of the competitors,
Oh,
Tyler Technologies. So there are other competitors in the accounting world.
But we don't have a date. on
We don't have a date
when they're
on
gonna
that.
force us to go
They
to the
have,
cloud.
they have told me that they're not gonna be forcing anybody off their old system anytime in the foreseeable future. But they're also starting to wind down on
Support.
updates, on support for it, so.
Those of us in the software world know how that goes.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
They make it so that you beg to move off of the software
Right, yeah.
at some point.
They make it hard to leave,
Yeah.
one way or another.
Anybody have any other questions for Phil? All right. So we don't have a number for, obviously, your replacement at this point, or
At this point,
what the, how long? I mean, ideally, I'd like to see somebody shadowing you for a full calendar year, because you have deadlines and requirements that you have to do every month, and in my mind, every month that we don't have somebody shadowing you is that institutional knowledge is, I won't say being lost, but they won't have the experience. I'm sure you're gonna leave great notes and great turnover, but, yeah, we'll have to see how that goes.
So what's realistic for you to leave? What time frame?
So the options I'm looking at are either the end of June fiscal year 2026 or January of the following fiscal
So a year to year.
So we have a minute to figure some stuff,
year.
like,
Year to year.
just a minute to figure some things out.
Not really.
I mean, I'm
It's gotta be
saying, like,
budgeted for this budget.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like, right now, we have a couple, by the time the
Yeah.
budget, we need to put this person in the budget for the,
As
for the.
early, as
yeah,
early in the next budget
Yeah.
year as we
like
can.
July 1st.
Yeah, that would be the ideal.
But that's what I'm saying, we got a couple months to figure something out,
Right.
to get someone there.
Right. But
Thanks a
thank
lot,
you,
Phil.
Phil, for giving us, I mean, you're not required to give us that kind of notice. It shows your dedication to the city. I'm sure it's not easy to go on camera and admit that, you know, you gotta work towards hiring your replacement. But, you know, thanks for giving us the ample notice to be prepared. All right. Does anybody have anything else, follow-ups? Oh, yeah, you didn't go yet. Madam Clerk.
Well, I didn't set his timer either, so he doesn't see where for my little list, our building is, I think about, Phil helped me figure it out, is about 6,000 square foot, this building. And we all know our roofing issues, you can still see our leaks that are ongoing throughout the whole entire building. No. Sorry. So I have not gotten any quotes. A lot of people can say how hard it is to get anybody out, but I did Google it. And it's probably, like for a metal roof, about $100,000. But I think that it shouldn't be flat going forward. I'm not the smartest person, but I think some reconfiguring of the roof. Unless, of course, we can budget money to build like a second story and we don't have to replace this roof. Yeah, just kidding, sorry. So that was one wish list, and then I do know from our IT service that we are gonna have to replace 2 computer stations, the one at our front, where we take all of the cash payments and whatnot, and then in the back, that doesn't get used, but it's for the system, if you can say that. I'm really not, he calls it for records, I believe, but they're about $800 each, I think, is the quote that was good through the end of February. So everything goes up, obviously, but those are the 2 that we should have to replace this year. Windows 10 is coming to an end in October, So those computers will no longer be useful to us. And that is all I had.
Any questions for Lori?
So, council didn't really have many needs, obviously. We spoke briefly about some minor concerns. Maybe, I know Brad has his laptop there, that's probably his personal laptop. But I thought it might be reasonable to have some sort of iPad or something for a council member to be able to have, because we don't have the packets in front of us typically, because it's a 75 to 100-page packet every time. I don't have a laptop that I have for any purposes. I have a desktop at home and I have computers at work, but I have nothing in between. Maybe we could look into an iPad per council person or a small laptop. I know council members have laptops with running Windows 95 on there back in the day. Ken has his, he still thinks it's new. That's fine. But
Hey, we paid $60 a piece used for them, and I put one battery in that damn thing.
I have the same one at home.
I still use it.
And then if we could look at maybe just an idea, because like I said, Brad he has his, but that's, I mean, I don't have a laptop.
Yeah.
But I think it wouldn't be unreasonable to have either maybe a small, limited use laptop, just internet, email, stuff like that, nothing fancy, or an iPad or something similar to use for looking at the council packets and be able to, tote it back and forth. And I'd be happy to get quotes for those if they're something you want me to look into.
I think we'd have to go through, wouldn't we have to go through SBS on that, Lori? Or should we?
To purchase them,
Just to get pricing on it.
they will gladly supply their price and to others for us, which is
Okay.
nice.
Yeah, I don't know if council members had any thoughts on that yet. I thought it'd be reasonable, it's not an unreasonable request. It's a small, I think, iPads are $500 or something. I don't even know what they go for anymore. I know that it came up to also because there's some concerns about texting. I use my phone and quite honestly all the time for the packet, but I'd rather not. I know that people think there's texting concerns or whatever, and it could be an OMA thing, so I want to make sure that it's all above board.
They could probably say the same thing about an iPad, though.
Well, if it's dedicated to this purpose, then they'd be more welcome to use it, whatever. Anyway, just an idea.
We'll look into pricing.
Yeah.
And that brings us to council. Does council have any non-status quo ideas for how to move the city forward?
I think we've gotten lucky when it comes to snow in terms of volume, at least for like a few years, really. Speaking about sidewalks and safety, would it be crazy to get a sidewalk snowplow for the kids who have to walk up, I mean, even Brownell, but up Cass, Shelby Road?
Pond
like
is always a concern.
Pond.
Because the kids coming from the Flickinger neighborhood to go to
Right.
Epler,
Yep.
they come across Han, because that's where the light is. So
But even going all the way up to like Utica High School, I know that's not us all the way up there, obviously, but, and of course, yes, people are supposed to, shovel it themselves, et cetera, but when there's been a lot of snow, I'm not getting up early to go out and do that. I'll do it after work, right? I think a lot of people think that, and then I see these poor kids trudging through snowy sidewalks, it's compacting down into ice. I mean, is that something, I don't think we even have like a dedicated sidewalk.
we have the
plow.
Kubota, right?
We use the Kubota for our sidewalks around City Hall and for, the bike path and stuff. So. And we also, can use we can also use the skid steer. They have snow attachments for that as well, so. I mean, if you're talking sidewalks, we have horrible issues with our businesses, along downtown that doesn't make our city look very nice either.
Yeah.
But we are trying to work on our ordinance on it as well about how and when to remove that snow and ice. So a little more demanding, I think. But like you said, same thing,
Yeah.
People, if they go to work early, they're not getting up to do snow, or if it's still snowing, people just wait till it's over, so.
Right,
But
yep.
I'm surprised that UCS doesn't do anything with their crosswalks as well.
I am too, yeah.
So,
That was wild.
at
to
least
me. It
bus
just-
stops.
Yeah. I mean, when I was checking it out, and I mean, it's pretty infrequent, it's usually Epler that I'm seeing or whatever, but, yeah, I'm often quite surprised by what we're making these kids trudge through, you know, to get to school, and, you know, we don't, and I'm sure, okay, like a lot of people be like, yeah, but, you know, kids all get dropped off at school now, who cares? Not all of them do, and, I don't know. So I just, you know, again, it always boils down to safety, and, you know, sure, of course, people should shovel their sidewalks, yeah, but, you know,
The current ordinance reads something really goofy, like, you must shovel your snow when it's 4 to 6 inches or more. So how could you be more vague? And what does it give, 24 hours?
24 hour, yeah.
So what is 4 to 6 inches or more? If you go to
Right.
some guy's house, he's gonna say, well, it's 4.5 inches, so it's not 4 to 6 inches or more. And can you imagine a kid going through, 6 inches of snow
Right.
on Han? I mean,
Right.
that's,
Is there a point, though, that if we take on those sidewalks on Han and everything, and we don't get it perfect, is the responsibility now on us and we get sued to the bejeebies because we didn't get there fast enough, we didn't scrape it low enough,
or we
didn't
damage their sidewalks?
damage the sidewalk, which these are all things they're supposed to be responsible for. So if somebody didn't shovel, and I'll just tell you, I'm one of those guys out there at 4:45 with my snowblower, waking up my neighbor, but my driveway is spotless before I leave for work. So
Maybe the
but I
first
don't-
thing is tighten up the ordinance and get enforcement action going, which we haven't really been very diligent with,
I do
Yeah,
agree with
but-
you, I just don't wanna open up a can of worms that,
but even 24 hours, which I think is a pretty quick turnaround, really. I mean, if you're out of town or whatever, 24 hours, you can't even do that if it happens to snow, right? So, I mean, 24 hours is pretty good, but that's still an entire
School day.
to and from, school trip, right? So, no, I totally get it, and, what if we do a plow and a part of the, whatever, sidewalk flips up a little bit and a kid trips over it and now all of a sudden we're, in a pickle. But also, what if it snows on top of a hole that's already on there and a kid steps in it and breaks his ankle and, you know what I mean? So, I think erring on the side of safety for them versus legal safety for us, probably where I lean.
I to a certain point, but in today's day and age, excuse me, I did go to school in 6-8 inches, and you walked and you came home for lunch and you walked back to school.
Uphill.
No, it was even. But I'm just saying nowadays, they close the damn schools. If you're gonna get 4 inches of snow, they've already closed the school the day before in most cases.
I like what
Okay?
Brad's, I like
Unless
what-
it was a snow where all of a sudden you got hit with, while they're in school, but with today's predictions, they've already closed it, so. All good ideas, I understand the safety, it's just, it can be a nightmare.
I like what Brad's saying, but I know that other municipalities do it. I know they have like little vehicles that V-plow right down the way and it splits it.
Yep.
I just think our DPW is just, we're a small town, small DPW. I mean, they do such a great job out in the streets and they're doing what they can and getting ahead of it and everyone's able to drive through it. I think that sidewalks are probably really almost impossible to get to with the manpower they have. They have 3 trucks, they have 6-8 guys. How many guys you got? 7 guys. Every one of those trucks is manned. I just think the sidewalks, it's tough. I think we got to throw it on the homeowner, quite honestly. I know where you're at, though. I mean, I think it's a good thing, but I think homeowners need to take a little part in their community and do their part to make sure everyone, they care about kids, go out and shovel your walk. I shovel mine. I'm on cast there.
Maybe we need more allocation towards code enforcement. I mean,
Maybe a little reminder, so, hey, sidewalk's yours, take care of it.
You might want to ask Linda too, because there might be stricter ordinances in place in other cities for crosswalks, for like school bus drop-offs. If your location is a crosswalk or a bus stop, there might be a little stricter ordinance in that. I mean, sorry, you live on a crosswalk for a school or a bus pickup, so something to look at. She might know.
I know on my street, a lot of kids, because I'm a block away from Epler, so I always try to get that apron that goes to the street, which is difficult, because no fault of our DPW, because they do a great job, but when they plow, it fills that apron up, it's unavoidable, you know, I'm not complaining.
Just think about it as a workout.
I don't have
I
a
actually do.
snowblower.
That is actually how I think about shoveling snow. Like, all right, that's your workout for the day, Brad.
But to somebody, I think it was Ken's
Positive
point,
spin.
that last big snow, I think I snowed 4 times, you know, over the weekend, or shoveled 4 times, because it came, and, I wanted to make
Yeah.
sure it was clean. And then they canceled school, and I was like, man, I had this thing just perfect, you know? I went out like 3 in the morning and shoveled, you know, and, school got canceled, so. It's something to look into. Maybe we do need to look at code enforcement, though, our budget for code. Right now, we, budget for 20 hours of code enforcement a week. You know, maybe we have to make an allowance when it's winter, you know, during the snow season, you know, on the weeks necessary, that he could be authorized to do more code enforcement work. Something to consider. It seems to me that'd be the first. The other issue with, if we start shoveling Hahn and we start shoveling Brownell, then other people are gonna say, well, how come you're shoveling some of the sidewalks in the city? I have a sidewalk, you're not shoveling mine. Or the apron I don't have a sidewalk, but the apron to my driveway, you know, when the plow comes by, it dumps a foot of snow, and, you know, it's very difficult for me. How come you're not providing me that assistance? So I think that's a slippery slope we could get down as well. I think that's something we gotta think more about. But good points, excellent points. Anybody else on council have any budget ideas?
Has anyone ever looked at advertising? I see in Shelby on Van Dyke, they have like Marcus Grill is advertising on the flag on the light posts. So I thought with the flowers, you know, you guys wanna go further down Van Dyke with flowers, if somehow we could sell advertising on those.
Oh, sponsored light post.
Right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
On the banners are you talking
Yeah,
about?
that's what Shelby has, is on the banners.
Yeah, I think their DDA sponsored that.
But to your point, you can see if a business would sponsor it.
Yeah. The light post that's out in front of their spot, you wanna advertise on it, you know, X amount of dollars per year, this is your small banner, this is the banner you get, this is what you can
I
advertise
mean,
on.
you don't even have to limit it just to
I
the
was
one in
gonna
front
say,
of their
didn't we
spot,
do
if they
that?
wanna.
Yeah, well, sure,
Take over
Yeah.
20.
Go well.
Yeah, but you get, maybe your first bid
Yeah.
to those.
I don't think we ever really went anywhere with it. I think we talked about this, didn't we?
I went to the schools,
Oh, yeah, and ask about the athletes or the graduates and stuff.
Yeah, for like seniors or
Yeah.
because the banners we have now, the light pole signs.
Yeah.
I think they were like $18 each or something like that. And I think we originally paid like $80 for the felt ones. The ones we just bought, 2 or 3 years ago now, I think they were like $18 each. So they're really cheap. I thought to keep it fresh and to get more people downtown, I went to Utica High School, to their athletic department, and I said, hey, what about this idea? How about at homecoming, you can buy a banner. You know, the city doesn't need to make any money off of it, you know, we'll manage it, you pay, you could turn it into a fundraiser for, you know, the football team, for your class. You know, if we're getting them at $18, you know, we can have our DPW handle the installation, because we're getting them benefit. All those families that have a kid on the light pole are gonna wanna come downtown, and maybe they'll stop and get a Shamrock Burger when they're down here, right? School had no interest.
Sheesh.
They said, if it's only, you know, we could sell it for $50, so we can make $30. And then just administering that program. And then the kids that can't afford the $50, whatever we come up with, you know, they're gonna feel left out because their family can't afford, you know, to do it. So 2 years in a row, I brought it up, because when the last principal retired, I got shut down, and then the new principal came in, and I tried it again, and there was just zero interest. to do
Mr.
it.
Mayor, I got an idea to piggyback on that. Something that I saw in another municipality is they had their veterans or their active duty military people, and a family could buy that post right there and show their loved one active duty service right there, and
a good idea.
that might even be, that'd be huge. I know Matt would probably buy one, I'd buy one, you'd buy one. I mean, you're veterans, I'm sure.
I don't
you're
have as much money as you.
You got your budget, not mine. I don't live in the mayor's mansion. Yeah, I live in a humble little house. Yeah, I don't have the mansion. I'm not a land baron. I think that'd be a great idea. Approach our maybe you know someone at the American Legion.
I know a couple people there.
I bet they would spend good money. Have a picture of their loved one, their active duty, their veteran, their lost loved one that served in the military. On any one of those polls, I bet it'd go.
We'd have to see how many
How often
veterans
would it
we
be
have in the
changed?
city. I don't know if we
I
have
mean,
enough for every light pole.
a-
What was there,
100
70?
people.
Yeah.
You know, do you change it every month?
Just downtown and in the parking lots.
Yeah, you can swap them out every
50.
couple months, whatever the case is. Put a stipulation. Hey, this is yours for 3 months, 2 months, whatever, a month.
It's
Whatever it is.
almost too short.
Put your dog up.
Drive your department
Picture your
crazy.
dog.
If you had to swap them every 2, 3
everybody's got
months,
Right before the
that would
puppy
be.
parade, you sell dog
Why are you
stuff.
doing it now?
Dude,
Is it every 6
Yeah.
months? You're
Before the
saying-
Halloween thing, you put up
The person who sponsored it.
Banners, we try to, they get destroyed a lot.
or before like the leprechaun run, you put up their runners up there. Here's my runner. You run past your plate.
Yeah, we do replace them. We're
One point
in the
this came out
process
of a
right
prior
now,
meeting,
replacing
and
all
this is
the
something we
banner
brought up
arms and
and talked
painting
about
them and
signs
getting
and
them
all
ready.
So is it every 3 months?
We leave them up and then we
Things-
take them down, we're
You
going
don't know
to
when,
you
okay.
can't
Yeah,
share
we
what they
just
might
keep 'em
say.
Whatever
Yep.
they're-
So you gotta be very
whatever-
cautious.
How about no
I mean,
worries?
heck, tell me how much there are. I got some things I'd like to put on.
I didn't think of
Anyone in
the
particular?
freedom of speech thing.
Stop it.
Yeah.
All right,
You know
folks.
my mom.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman O'Donnell.
can I pitch another one?
Absolutely.
I think that year on year, it's going to get a little warmer than the last year. I think it's going to be a little wetter than the year before. I think it's going to get below freezing less and less. And I think we have already started to see this happening because these mosquitoes in the summer have gotten out of control. I am now spending over $100 a month spraying my yard. My neighbors were like, what do you do? Oh, does it work? They're spraying their yards now. It kind of works. I know we've done mosquito mitigation in the past, but like even when you're downtown, just by the river, it's atrocious. It's really bad in the summer. Those mosquitoes, I mean, it's like, I'm not exaggerating, it's like a cloud of mosquitoes. People don't want to hang out downtown. They're so bad.
At the weekend unwind on Friday nights, there were some weeks where the mosquitoes were
Yeah.
absolutely horrible. I had a religious group that uses Heritage Park for baptisms every Sunday morning, and they came to my office, a group of them came and said, we want the city to treat for mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm sorry, but we can't. And I shut them down. But maybe if we had like a plan, a citywide plan.
Right. I mean, even when I was, I'll walk along the river, whatever, like I just don't think the river's and this is just me as a layperson, right? I'm not sure if it's super well maintained. It's very swampy, lots of like puddles that clearly aren't moving, and I'm just looking at that like what a breeding ground for mosquitoes, right? So there's like little mitigation things we can do like that. It doesn't have to be some nasty spray like I'm spraying all over my yard, right? But I mean, I don't know if y'all have experienced the same thing, but I live downtown. I'm downtown all the time. It's atrocious. It's bad. Bad.
Because we're by the river.
Right.
We're by the river, yeah.
Bats are great killers of mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you put up bat houses somewhere in strategic areas.
$5,500 for bats. That's what I'm proposing.
It's not a bad idea though. I mean, you could put bat houses up along the river.
Totally.
You know, probably be decent.
I know the Clinton River watershed in Eagle would appreciate that more than spray, because
Yeah.
we would have to go through them to figure out what we could use.
For spraying.
Yeah, for spraying.
So we have to be almost doing it now or very soon.
Can we reach out to Clinton River Watershed Coalition about bat houses and things like that?
Absolutely.
Or mosquito
I was gonna say, they
Mitigation,
programs
yes.
like a mosquito
Why don't you just put up
mitigation.
signs like no
mitigation?
mosquitoes?
That was
Yep.
what I was.
Or like abatement or something, I don't think that's the right word, but.
Another good point.
Just, yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts? Anybody? Last chance.
Nobody brought up the water park.
We were just
I
laughing.
know.
When it was getting so hot.
I know, I was like, I hope he doesn't say that.
Mr. Mayor, I've been lobbied extensively by city administration about a water park. And they want it only in City Hall. It was kind of crazy.
Since it's on the agenda, last chance for communication from the public. Anybody from the public? We have one member here tonight. Nope, very good.
Need a motion?
All right, then I will be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Dion, support by O'Donnell. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Sikora?
Yes.
Deanne?
Yes.
Torenzi?
Yes.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Calendino?
Yes.